Recent major defeat of Juventus by Napoli had encouraged and excited the citizens of the fans of Napoli even more, bringing the dream of Scudetto closer on one tour of the championship. For the Napoli players, this season is passing in a perfect way. An updated and rejuvenated club shows the truly beauty of the game. An experienced coach, Luciano Spalletti, manages this team so skillfully and effectively that looks like the dream of Scudetto may be true. And the club is full of determination of bringing the football crown of Italy back to the south after 34 years of pause. Yes, the progress and the advancement of Napoli commenced not yesterday and of course not a few months ago. This season, for the present moment, looks like the most perspective and successful for the entire history of the club. Although the date of foundation of SSC Napoli takes its date in 1926, football on its official level came to Napoli in 1904. The group of three people, William Both, an English mariner, his associate Hector Bayern, and local Neapolitan man Amadeo Salsi, the first president of the club, had founded Napoli Football and Cricket Club. The first official and documented game of the club is the match against the crew of the vessel Arabic, which was moored in the port of Napoli. After 2 years, the word cricket removes from the name of the club, and the club switches only to football business, being still overboard of the Italian championship due to the fact that before 1912, the clubs from the south of Italy didn't participate in the championship. All of this period from 1906 till the debut in Serie A, the young and ambitious club had regularly played against the crew members of the ships arrived at the port of Napoli. The club was also participating in the Lipton Challenge Cup, the tournament for the Sicilian and southern Italian clubs, where Napoli had successfully won 3 finals against Palermo. Precisely during this period, Napoli commenced to play in their official colors, blue jerseys and white shorts. Despite all of the previous facts, modern history of Football Club Napoli starts from the 25th of August 1926, when the club was renamed to Associazione Calcio Napoli. Unfortunately, first season for the newly renamed club from the south turned into disaster. After a poor start with a sole point in an entire championship, Napoli was readmitted to one of the Serie A leaders of the division lately. Napoli started to improve the results year by year. At that time, the club was led by the first local superstar, Attila Salustro, who is still one of the top goal scorers for the entire history of the club. The first major success appeared in the seasons of 1933 and 1934, when Azzurri twice in a row took the bronze medals of the championship. Such iconic names as Antonio Voiac and Arnaldo Sentimenti were the key people of that success, and of course the coach William Gorbet. However, after 1935, when Gorbet had left the club, Napoli went into a decline. In the year of 1942, Napoli lost a relegation battle to Bari and were relegated to Serie B, and remained there until the end of World War II. During all post-war period from 1945, Napoli had quite erratic form with its heights and lows, including relegations and promotions. The first major trophy for Napoli appeared only in the season of 1962, when they beat Spal in the final of Coppa Italia, being the first team to win Coppa Italia while playing in Serie B. The next success came when the club was promoted to Serie A in 1965. All of the further seasons were perfect. Napoli was constantly placed in the top 5, and in 1968 the club received silver medals of the Serie A. Such legends as Dino Zoff, José Altafini and Antonio Giuliano were represented Napoli in that ages. The trend of performing good and stable in Serie A didn't disappear in the 70s. Followed by the coach Luis Vinicio, Napoli finished the 1975 season on the second place, just 2 points behind Juventus. Giuseppe Bruscolotti, Salvatore Esposito and Giuseppe Savoldi became the new stars of San Paolo and helped the club to win their second Coppa Italia in 1976, beating Hellas Verona 4-0, and in 1977 Napoli had reached the semi-finals of UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, where were defeated by an Anderlecht with a score 2-1. 30th of June 1984 had changed the club and the city forever. Napoli broke the world transfer record after signing Diego Maradona for 12 million euros. The club also signed such famous players like Ciro Ferrara, Bruno Giordano and Salvatore Bagni. The transformation from an average Italian club to the champions was so rapid that even always hated superpowers from the north, such as Inter, Milan and Juventus, could not do nothing to beat an unstoppable Parthenopeans. And in 1987, the dream of the whole Napoli, the whole Campania and almost the whole south of Italy became true. Napoli won the Serie A. In the same season, Napoli took another trophy, Coppa Italia, in the third time, making the double in the season of 1986-1987. This was the moment of the pure happiness for the club and the city. Citizens were celebrating the Scudetto for 4 days, idolizing their lead hero, Diego Maradona. Although he was the most loved player for the fans, he could leave Napoli before this iconic season. President of Milan offered him twice bigger salary, new cars, an apartment in the most luxury district of Milano, and an amount of actions in his company, Berlusconi Fininvest. However, Diego declined the offer and signed new contract with Napoli with increased salary, and the history of the golden success of Napoli was written. In the further seasons of 1988 and 1989, Napoli twice in a row took silver medals, and in the season of 1990 won the Serie A for the second time. International European football also was not avoided. In the season of 1988-1989, Napoli won their first and only UEFA Cup, beating Bordeaux in the third leg, Juventus in the quarterfinals, Bayern Munich in the semi-finals, where the famous warm-up dance of Diego took part at Olympiastadion. And finally they defeated Stuttgart in the final games. That years of success and happiness were the best period of the club's history. Unfortunately, as the eternal wisdom says, after a bright day come dark nights. Napoli's destiny was exactly in such way. After a World Cup of 1990, Diego Maradona's drugs addiction and regress of physical condition caused the regress of Napoli results. On 17th of March 1991, after a winning game against Bari, Maradona was one of the players which were ordered to pass the doping test. The results were terrible. Analysis showed the amount of cocaine in Diego's blood. After this loud scandal, Italian Football Association fined Maradona to 15 months of disqualification. As the result, he scored only 6 goals during that season, and Napoli took only 8th place in Serie A. Generally, all of the 90s years were a total disaster for Azzurri. Only the season of 1993-1994 was a breath of a fresh air, when under the lead of Marcello Lippi, Napoli took 6th place and were qualified to UEFA Cup. However, in the next season, Lippi left the club, and the results of Azzurri were getting worse year by year, and relegation to Serie B came at the end of 1997-1998, when they won only 2 matches during the season. The 2000s were also the nervous ages for Parthenopeans. By August 2004, the club was declared bankrupt, and to secure the football in the city, film producer Aurelio De Laurentiis refounded Napoli under the name of Napoli Soccer. From that time till 2010, Napoli passed inglorious ages of playing in Serie C and Serie B. And only in 2010, under the new and ambitious manager Walter Mazzarri, Napoli finished the season of Serie A on the 6th place, and next season of 2011, Napoli finally reached the top places of Italian football, taking the bronze medals. From that time until today, Napoli is one of the most major powers of Italian football.